thanks for coming, and also thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for having us here and for opening this conference. By the way, I think I could go home already, but that would be a very big disaster, because I just arrived here last evening, and going back already, it's not the plan. But I think our ambassador was the major promoter of our product, and you will see that he is right promoting this product. And indeed, we also want to inform you that this product has a specific way of consuming it, a specific way of preparing it, and the most important thing, a specific way of enjoying it. Because basically, that's what we are here for. And I've been told that Philippines not only eat a lot, but also like to enjoy food. And to be very honest, I always call food the second or the third, depending on how many languages you speak, language. If you have a meeting with somebody you like, somebody you love, what do? You go out and you eat something together. And it's basically, it's one of the major things in your relationship. It's sitting with people, whether it's your husband, your wife, your friends, your children, your parents, your grandparents. It's all about having things together, enjoying things together. And I believe that these very small potato products can help you to have more fun. And I hope I can convince you after this presentation. So we'll have a look at some things. First of all, we start with potatoes. Don't forget, a lot of people don't know anymore that fries are made from potatoes. Even in my country, in Belgium, some young people believe that fries grow on trees. You pick them and you put them in the oil and they're ready. I'm serious, I'm not joking. Huh? The gap between agriculture and what we eat is often completely gone. And this is why I always start with the first word, potatoes. That's where we're starting from. So the history, I have to be very honest, we did not invent the potato. It was some Peruvian farmers high in the Andes, in Peru, in Bolivia, in all that area of the Andes, that have grown potatoes from the first time from wild species into domesticated potatoes. And from that part of the world, of course, we all know the history. I think you also know a part of the history about Spain. This area is also related to that. The Spanish conquistadores came to South America, and they went for gold and silver, and they brought back home the biggest gold they ever could find, the potato. That's what they brought back home to their country, and they didn't know what to do with it. So they said, yeah, let's put it in the ground. That's what they heard. So they put it in the ground, and then they start to eat the leaves and the seed balls which grew on the plant, because they could not eat what was growing under the plant, because what is going under the plant is in the earth, and the earth is the location of the devil, and the plant is the location of God, because that's above the soil. So they eat the wrong thing. So the plant disappeared in botanical gardens and was gone. Until the moment that a French guy, I have to admit, France is a part of our culture, they're a lousy football team, Mr. Ambassador, but they played an important role in the culinary aspect of the world. So even in this hotel, I just arrived yesterday, you see a lot of French connections related to food and the way of living. Well, it's the French that have discovered the potato as a nutritional source, and it went up through northern parts of Europe, especially Ireland, a very Catholic country with a lot of monks that traveled all over the world in Europe, and they spread the potato around. Later was discovered that it played not only a big part in feeding, first animal feed, then human beings, but even it went further. It was the cause of two centuries of peace in Europe, because basically a lot of wars are fought not only for interest of money, but also for food. And as this product was available, and it was called the bread of the poor, it was stopping a lot of wars which were caused by a lack of production of cereals in those days. Because you will not find, there is a publicity for a pasta brand in Belgium where the Romans were serving potatoes. There were no potatoes in Rome. It was only bread at those days. So Only later in the 18th century, 19th century, basically the potato crop expanded in Europe. And then it traveled all over the world. We'll see the first from South America, Middle America on, then Asia was contacted in the 1600s. Basically China, India, and Japan, where they had the first contact with the potato. And later, in the other way around, in the 1800s, it traveled also to this part of Southeast Asia. That's the history of the potato. I want to introduce you. And then when you have a potato, then you can make a delicious golden product out of it, called fries. But why do we call them French fries? Is there a reason for it? Well, there is the story that, of course, soldiers in the First World War from the United States went to Belgium, because that's the area where the big war, as we call it, 100 years ago was fought and ended, luckily, to start later again. Let's hope that we do not face this again in this history. But anyway, this is the story. The reality is that, of course, France was the area of noblesse, of counts, earls, rich courts, and one of the major enjoyments of having an income, and this is what's happening also in this part of the world, where you have more and more people developing, getting a job, earning money, and are able to make a choice of food. Because the first thing when you don't have the money is to survive on food. The next step is to enjoy the food. And that was possible in France. And that's the way that a lot of our culinary traditions, not only in Europe, but also even here, originated one way or another from the French cuisine. And one of them was also cutting vegetables into strips. And that's the way, they call it the French way of cutting, the French cutting. So even today, if you go to lessons on cookery schools, you learn to cut the French way, your vegetables, for walking or whatever you want to do with it. Well, that's also what happened with the potato. They cut it in stripes and they fried it in oil. And that's where the origin probably of the potato is coming from. That's the way that's why they call it French fries. So it's not France, it's the French cuisine, and it's the French way of cutting. And just to illustrate this, I don't know, does anybody know this comic strip, Asterix? You do? Okay, because you do it. Give you a reward for that. Very good. So this is the book, The Potato in Belgium, Land of the Fries. Read it and you will have the whole story much more detailed. Well, this is Asterix, and it's indeed a very comic strip. It's a French strip, by the way, but it also talks about these Gaul people that travel all over the world, and also they come into Belgium. And there the guy says here, the Gaul guy visiting Belgium says, "By the way, darling, did you ever think of cutting roots into chips and frying them?" And basically that is what we believe is the scientific proof that the fries are not from France, but from Belgium. So we can show this to the rest of the world. Anyway, also beer and chocolates are connected with our country, as you probably know. But basically, and I'm just going to illustrate these two pictures to show you. The first one on the right-hand side, this is a promotion campaign from the Belgian government. You know, luckily, some time ago, we were also a victim of terrorist attacks in the country, in the airport of Brussels. And then there was a lot of questioning, people are afraid if something's going wrong. And at that moment, the Belgian authorities launched a campaign saying, hey, we are still there, and we are still Belgium as we were before. And one of the slides was, we could keep reminding you that we were the ones who invented chips, by the way, chips, but we just rather eat them. To be very honest, why do you see the word chips here? Well, in English, fries are called chips. And chips, as we eat them, potato chips, are called crisps. Just to illustrate that a lot of translations are given to that product. In Italy they call it patatini, in Spain they call it patatas fritas, in Portugal and Brazil they call it batatas fritas, In South America, Spanish-speaking world, they call it papas fritas. In Belgium, they call it, we have 3 languages, probably you didn't know that. You know, anybody knows which languages we speak in Belgium? French, yes, right. Other, second? What other language do you think we speak? What, Belgian? We're working on this one. So the second one, anybody can help us? Dutch, yes, 2. And the third one? No.
German?
Yes, German. So I have 2 persons who can profit from this unique moment. Was you? And the second one who said French was you. You're getting also one, no problem. So indeed, we have 3 languages. And in Belgium we call them friet in Flemish, fries, yeah, thank you. Fries, frites in French, it's the same word, bizarre. And we call them in German, we call them pommes, related to a French word pomme de terre. So you see, there are a lot of languages, a lot of words are given to that unique product. The pictures you see here are all selfies which are made in 2015 at the World Expo in Milano, where this guy, James Bond, was presented for the first time. And people just could take pictures with James Bond, and you see a lot of them illustrate what we are talking about, having fun together with the fries. Good, let's go to some words on the art of potatoes, because growing potatoes is crucial. If you don't have good potatoes, you cannot have good fries. So why Belgium? Well, this map illustrates this very clearly. Belgium is this small country, 11 million people by the way, so much smaller than the Philippines, located in the middle of the potato growing area of Europe. We call that Hafpal region. So that is the line which is drawn from Hamburg here in Germany, over Frankfurt in Germany, Paris in France, and London, we call that area London in England. This is basically the best soil, the best climate, and the richest tradition to grow potatoes. And Belgium is just in the middle of it. You see some frying companies who are located in that area. Why? Well, I told you climate, soil, and tradition, but also knowledge and innovation. I will come back on that later. Just to illustrate this, some slides, I'm not going to give a lot of them because they are boring, but they are telling a story on their own. First of all, we have Europe of the 5, Europe of the 10, and Europe of the 13. That will become 12 soon, when one country is leaving Europe. But anyway, you see the above lines, this line is the Europe of the 5. These are 5 countries: Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, and France, and UK. These are these 5 countries, and you will see that the production in that area is very important, whereas the other areas, this is the new member states, Eastern Europe, with Poland, the potato country, they're reducing their production, and the other countries are also going down slowly. The major reason for this is the average yield of potatoes. And you see that this area, the Europe of the 5, has the highest average yield in potatoes. And just in business, it's about being efficient, and indeed Belgium is by definition has the highest yield of the potato crop all over the world, without even irrigating a lot. This is resulting in this beautiful slide. You know, 1990, we had about 500,000 tons of potatoes being processed in Belgium. In 2017, we were up to 4.6 million tons of potatoes being processed into potato products. So this is one of the fastest growing economies in Europe, the potato production and the fried potato production in Belgium. And you see this also, why? No, it's not the 11 million Belgians who are consuming all these fries. I hope we never have to do this, because that would be a lot. But it's really because of the exports. Belgium has become the biggest exporter of frozen potato products in the world. And this is illustrated by this slide. You see how our production, our exports are growing year after year. We have passed the Netherlands about 5 years ago, and we see that Canada, USA, and France, and Germany, and Poland are the other exporting countries, but at a lower rate. And our Dutch friends, and we call them friends, are the second one. Why friends? Because, as a matter of fact, I'm living about 20 kilometers from the Dutch border, and there is nearly no border anymore. The only importance between Belgium and the Netherlands is the tradition. We have the tradition. And that's really important, because that is creating the added value as we see. So just to summarize, first of all, heart of Europe, the best potato production area, amongst the highest average yields in the world. Logistics, yeah, the location is perfect because we have really a very good harbor system. We have 3 big harbors opening 365 days a year. So we have roads, we even have more and more water transport now coming up, because the roads are also, just like here, often overcrowded. So we look for alternatives, and more we have transport on rivers. Tradition and innovation throughout the supply chain. Agriculture is of course important, trade is important, and the food industry is important. We are creating more and more value chains. You cannot have a serious export if your potato growers are not earning money, because they are producing the raw material. Without that raw material, we cannot create good fries. So science and research and development are important. I'm going to illustrate that later on. And then, of course, we are also more and more proud and aware as Belgium that we have to offer something. We have even a campaign which has been launched under the name Food.be, saying to the world, we are a small country, but we have great food. And the fries, the chocolate, the waffles, and the beers illustrate this. We have much more. Whenever you have the time, don't forget, go to Rome, go to Venice, go to Paris, go to London, go to Berlin. But don't forget to come to Belgium only, also just to enjoy also the food there. Of course, we cannot leave this meeting room without talking about the frietkot culture, or the friterie shop culture as we call it, because this is something which is at the basis of everything. The moment when the average Belgian consumer started to eat fries. Well, basically, this first picture here, which is dating from the 19th century already, is illustrating this. Délices de la friture. And this is what happened during what we call kermis, you know, a local festivity where people have holiday or have a festive day one another, and then the children can play on you know, like nowadays they call it Disneyland and Disney World. Those days it was local and it was kermis. And of course at that day also it was a special moment for people to eat something which they don't have normally at home. And this was the fry. So people went there to buy a paper bag with potato products in it, with fries, and with a sauce on top of it, and with their hands they were just eating these potato fries. And this was party time for them. And this tradition is now, up to now, it's still existing. Just illustrating. This is a mobile frietkot. If you go to a big festival nowadays, where big bands are coming to play, you have to pass food trucks along the way. And the food truck with the longest queue, despite all the fancy stuff, is the frietkot. That's where people want to go for 3-4 days. When you're a student and you're sitting in university city, they eat fries every day. Healthy, no, but who cares? They have fun and they study sometimes. So this is another one. This is a more modern one, you see, because they are not always allowed to have these frietkots along the roads. So they are now even in houses constructed. It's more like a snack bar, but still frietkot. And this is just to illustrate the queue at the Expo in Milano, where we had about 100 meters, because this is about at 10 o'clock in the evening there. But we had during all day, there was a queue of about 100 meters of people waiting to buy, because they had to pay for a packet of fries at the Food Expo in Milano. And a lot of you know also Italian food, I think, very famous also. Well, despite that, very famous food, we were able to be elected as the most favorite snack of the World Expo in Milano, in Italy. Just to illustrate that people really enjoyed it. Is anybody knowing the guy here on the left-hand side on this picture? This person. Yes, but do you know, anybody know his name? Very good. No? Is it Baldwin, is it Albert, or is it Philip? No, that's wrong. Somebody who doesn't have a book yet.
Philip.
Yeah, in the back, Philip, I heard you. You were. He knew it. He knew it. Indeed, Philip of Belgium. It's our current king. So also for you a book. Or you listened very well. Anyway, Philip of Belgium. You see, he also likes fries, and his wife is Mathilde of Belgium, and she is here also enjoying fries. And now I'm going to ask you a very difficult question. Does anybody know this guy? Not somebody who has a book, somebody who doesn't have a book yet. Anybody knows him? So it's time to start with a new picture. And thanks to the ambassador, we will change that soon. You know him, Mr. Ambassador? I think you do.
Yeah, of course.
Eddy Merckx. Eddy Merckx was the most famous cyclist in the world, who won not only 5 times the Tour de France, but also at the same year the Tour of Italy, the Tour of Spain. He started at a lot of races, and he won 1 on 3 of them. So every 20 races he started, he won 1. So this was really the best cyclist in the world. And you see, when the season is over, every big cyclist nowadays in Belgium goes to the free shop because they are very thin. Because every gram of fat they have in their body is not good to climb the mountains. So after the season, they say, finally, the diet is gone, we can enjoy food. And the first thing they eat, and that's true still today, is fries. And now I've come to the reality of the World Championship. I'm going to change that picture now, because I have another one. It was too late to put it in the presentation. But when the Belgian Red Devils came back to Brussels now, after their fantastic performance in Russia, there were tens of thousands of people welcoming them on the streets in Brussels. And they went to the town hall of Brussels. And there, before they went on the stage where people were waiting for them, they all had a packet of Belgian fries. And a friend of mine wrote a mail to the mayor of Brussels, Mr. Klose, and he thanked him, saying, thank you for offering them Belgian fries. It's good for the image of the country, and there was somebody active in the sector. And the mayor of Brussels replied, I didn't offer them anything. They asked for it. So, just to illustrate, even our football players, when they return after such a long time, first thing they want is good fries. And this is illustrated by this guy here. It's our Prince Laurent of Belgium. And he is also a lover of fries because he has a medal, and that medal is illustrating that he's a member of the Frietkot Club, golden member even. And he's offering an official attestation to James Bint, the guy over there, to be the ambassador for the Frietkot culture all over the world. And this is why also he is here. And if you want, you can have a picture or a selfie with him afterwards. Or you can meet him also the upcoming days at WOFEX. That's where our companies will also present their product. I told you already that we have not only a very large tradition in fries, but also in comic strips. Does anybody know the most famous Belgian comic strip in the world? Yes, in the back?
Tintin.
Tintin, very good, also for you. And you found it completely yourself, I noticed it.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Tintin, but helaas, is not having a picture with a Frietkot. But you see, we have Nero, we have Susken and Wisken, and we have even a story Philip of Belgium. So referring to our king, of course. But this is also illustration of what I'm saying. We had one terrorist attack on our prime minister in the history of Belgium, and so, the current prime minister. Does anybody know him? I don't think so. Charles Michel is now our prime minister in Belgium, and he was attacked with fries, Belgian fries, and even afterwards they were just like spreading mayonnaise on him And really, if you Google for that, attack Prime Minister or Michel Prime Minister attack or something like, or fries, you will see that he was completely covered with mayonnaise. And during the whole attack on him, he was smiling all of the time. He was happy because he was attacked with fries. The lady next to that one is a more famous politician in the world, I think. Does anybody know her? Yes, in the back? Angela Merkel. A book for you. Angela Merkel was a member, of course, of the European Council of Ministers. And when this picture was when this picture was taken, it was during the Brexit negotiations in Brussels. And she was so angry on the behavior of some of the English delegation that she refused to go to the dinner, official dinner. And she just asked her German delegation to go out of the building. And they went to a very famous fritkot in Brussels. Place Jourdan, famous fritkot. Whenever you're in Brussels, that's a place to be, a very big one. And then she ordered for the whole German delegation, she ordered a packet of Belgian fries. And this picture was just taken by somebody passing by and with a smartphone taking the picture and selling it all over the world. And last but not least, the last one here, Belgium is a record holder, Guinness Book of Record holder of the longest creation of a federal government in the world. We have beaten Cambodia and Iraq, so that's really something you have to prove, huh? I'm just looking at the figure to tell no lies. We had 589 days without a federal government. And at a certain time, all the students in Belgium said, this is enough. We want a government. We have done the election, we voted for a parliament, you have to find a government. And they organized a big revolution, and we called it the Friet Revolution. Just to illustrate that how important that these fries are for the Belgians. The ambassador already mentioned that we have a Fritkot museum in Bruges. This is Bruges, and Bruges is the what we call the Venice of the North. But also, if you go to Brussels, close to the Grand Place, you have these kind of Belgian friet shops also waiting for you. So, enjoy our Belgian fries. This is James Bint. You can have a lot of information about James Bint on our website. We have the book here for some of you already, something they can read. And this is the first book that has been presented to our Queen in Milano at the Expo 2015. So, Belgian fries in Asia, that's now the story. We are here. Are we here already? Yes, we are. Do we want to enjoy you? Do we want to help you to enjoy more our fries? Yes, we do. And this is a bit the story. Of course, the fries came here by fast food, majorly McDonald's and Burger King and all the other ones. They offered American fries. Then it went also to food service, hotels, restaurants were presenting more and more fries. And now also it's starting to be consumed more and more as finger food, street food. And there's really an increased amount. So what is the difference between American fries and Belgian fries? It's also a question we have a lot. Well, it's not only the way they are, that's different, but also the way we consume them, which is different. We say, look, when you consume Belgian fries, you have the enjoyment of consuming them. You know, when in Belgium, mother says, the children are together, what are we going to eat today? And then mother is always saying, yes, today we are going to have fries. And then the children, they just cheer and say, yes, fries. Because we don't have fries every day. When we compose a plate, the first thing we choose is fries. And then we go for the meat and the chicken, or the fish. But we have fries. So when you compose your meal on fries, then you have another attitude than when you just have these fries available as a side dish. And this is the American way. There you have a burger, or whatever, and you have side dish, salad, and fries. So they have fries every day. So we don't only say, make a choice for Belgian fries because you enjoy them more, but also consume them in the Belgian way, in a balanced way. This is much better than just having it every day, because then it's becoming average food. It should be special. Like anything else you eat, should be special. So this is the way it is. And then also, practically, the fries in the United States are different because they are long, they are thin, and they have white flesh, and they're often colored. they put caramel in it to have the yellow color on the outside. We don't do that. Our potatoes are yellow flesh. We fry them and they are naturally yellow. Also, Belgian fries are often consumed thicker. And why do we do this? Because when you consume your potatoes thicker potato fries than the very thin ones, in the thin ones you only have the crispiness and a little bit of fat inside. When you have thicker fries, you also have the potato taste inside. So basically, that's also why when you go to Belgium, you will see people eat with their hands thicker fries. Not the thin ones, the thicker fries. So that's also very typical, something you have to bear in mind. We will have a short word on sustainability and innovation, because I think when we come back after the fries to the agricultural side, you see our potato crop is an important one, is industrialized crop, but one of the latest inventions we have is Watch It Grow. And Watch It Grow is starting up recently, and it's quite important because Watch It Grow is allowing farmers to have a look through their crop from satellites. So we have satellites in space that take pictures of the land. The potato fields are there pictured and they're on the screen. Every 5 days we have a picture taken from the fields. You find that picture on your computer. You just fill in all the different activities you did on the field, and you can follow up your crop. That means you can, because it's also related to temperature, it's also related to soil quality, it's related to humidity, rainfall. So all these elements are put together and are creating a basis of knowledge for our farmers to have the best potatoes grown on the field. So this is really something we can change a little bit. Let's finally focus on Asia. Here you have some figures which are explaining why potato products are more and more important in Asia. Because of course your GDPs are increasing year after year. This area is doing well, congratulations. This is good for the economy, for the people, for the consumers. They have more possibilities to purchase other products. And that's what we try to do. And you see here the evolution of the exports or the imports of frozen potato products in Asia. Number one still is Japan. Japan is extending every year. Second, the Philippines. Third, China. Fourth, South Korea, Malaysia, Taiwan, Thailand, Indonesia, and Singapore. So you see the evolution, and year after year we see more and more imports from potato products in this area. It is the fastest growing market is the Philippines. Last year, I'm going to illustrate right away with this picture. You see that they are really going up rapidly, and it's becoming more and more important for the Philippine consumer. The role of Belgium in this is basically during 3 years, the last 3 years, which our figures are available. You will see that the biggest export is still the United States. It's the orange line here, but they are not growing so rapidly anymore. The second is Belgium, and the third is the Netherlands. You see, these are the biggest competitors. Fourth is Canada, which is also increasing a lot. But generally, there is an increase from all these countries. Yes, to finalize, is there a way of collaborating? I think that there is. First of all, also potato crop in the Philippines is also important in some areas. I think also on this island, in the north part of the island, there is a potato crop. There are some problems with diseases related to the soil, for instance. Well, in Belgium, there is a lot of competence on fighting diseases, soil diseases like nematodes. So, for instance, in Vietnam, there is already a long collaboration between Vietnam government and Belgium to exchange knowledge. We are open for that also. So if local potato production, because here potatoes grown in this area are not suitable for processing, they're more like vegetables, fresh potatoes, we can help you on this one. So there is a possibility of exchange of knowledge on this. And one of the places to go to is Interpon Primeurs. That's in November this year. We will have that exposition. It's the biggest exposition on potatoes in the world, indoor. So 20,000 visitors in 3 days, over 300 companies, all the big machinery and equipments are available there. So if a delegation from Philippines wants to visit that area, let me know and we can help you on this one. And last but not least, I would like to thank you, and I hope that you will enjoy more than ever our famous Belgian fries. And let's have a look at one of the trips of James Bint now in Japan. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Mr. Michaels, for this interesting story.